Hi, everybody. I am Blake Cabot. I am the owner of FacePaintcom. And today we have Andrea Nicole Moje, and she is a master instructor, elite Donna Dewberry instructor, major teacher. She does all things ProAiir, and she's out in California, and we're lucky to have her. So thank you, Andrea, and let's get started.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, one thing I should tell everybody is that this is really going to be focused on ProAiir. So if you're expecting to see a one stroke with a nice label on it, that isn't it. So but the cool thing about ProAiir is you can actually make it look like a one stroke, and it's waterproof, it's alcohol based or not alcohol based, but there's all sorts of.
It is. Nope, it is alcohol based.
So we're going to learn a lot about ProAiir today. So it'll be interesting. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Hi. All right. So my name's Andrea, and it's very nice to see you guys. Thank you for having me today. I wanted to start a little bit by just showing you some of the products and showing you what I'm going to be using for the one stroke. Dips come in a bottle, and you can squeeze them out on a non-porous. You can put them in a little plastic container, but I tend to like using something along the lines of this. Now, the one thing that you need to know is it is alcohol based. So you need to have at least 91% alcohol or 99. I actually have 99.5. I was very lucky to find that. Before you work on a child or yourself, anything like that, you want to just let them know that you're using a product that's not a water base, and that the removal for that is going to have to be a soap that has scent in it. You can use liquid soap. I've actually created a soap that I use to take it off. Yesterday, my arm was fully covered, and the soap helped to remove it off really fast. You also need to know if you are painting a face that you cannot put the dips on the lips. So I highly recommend that you have some of these disposable lip applicators, or if you have Q-tips. If you're using regular face paint, we would just put that on the lips, but for dips, you can't. It will dry those lips out. So you should have some sort of a lipstick if you're going to be doing little girls and you want the big, beautiful butterfly. This pairs very well with powders. So if you're doing something around the eye, I would not recommend doing dips on the eye, as it is very thick. You can use the hybrids on the eye. You can use a powder on the eye, but do not put this over the eye. Also, again, the smell, it smells like sour apple, but to kids, sometimes the other face paint does not have a smell. So it is very different for them. If you're transitioning from using regular water-based face paint to this brand, it's wonderful. I'm going to show you today how to do some one strokes. And once your paint starts to dry, either on your brushes or on your non-porous matte or plastic piece, this can all be reconstituted or reactivated. You would use Prolong, and you can put that over the top of it, and it will wake it right back up. It is going to be a little more transparent, especially if you dust it or spritz it with alcohol. It will wake it back up, but it's not going to be that true color that you're used to for that first time that you squeeze it out. We're going to go right into a red rose, and the way that I start is I put some alcohol inside of a container so that I can use this just like I would with my water. Mm-hmm. I've found out that if you have something with a locking lid and you're traveling with it, it's a lot better, because in case it spills out, the smell is, you're going to have alcohol inside of your kit. So in case somebody knocks it over, also labeling, if you have a label maker, you should always say alcohol on it so you don't mix it up with your regular water, because I have two different kits. I have my water-based kit and I have my alcohol-based kit.
I had the same problem. We just got a new puppy and we had puppy treats on our living room table, and people started eating those as snacks, and that was
Ooh.
a little awkward because they're not very tasty, in fact. So
No, I wouldn't think so.
no, I tried one accidentally and it wasn't as good as I thought.
I have to confess that one day I had a piece of beef jerky in my hand and the dog treat, and I accidentally bit into the wrong one. I had the same thing. Not fun. If you're going to start practicing on yourself, the one thing I would recommend is putting a little bit of lotion on, because if you have really dry skin, especially right now in winter, you get your arm so that it is a little moist, and it adds that moisture to there, because the alcohol sometimes will dry it out. That's just a hint that I like to do. I've been fully body painted and airbrushed before, and took me over, 2 hours to get that off. If you don't want that to happen, put some lotion on your arm. Okay, so the first rose that we're going to be doing is a red rose. And I'm going to first show you how to squeeze it out, and I'm going to show you how to load your brush, because that in itself, if you have never used this product, then that's going to be the first thing you want to do. So Blake, am I okay right here? Can you see?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to start with the plain red. This is Dips Red. You want to make sure you burp these first, because sometimes if you open it, it will spray out, especially if you're in high heat. Okay, so I'm going to squeeze that out, and you need about that much. I'd say about a dime size. You can shake them up. If they've been sitting for a while, sometimes they separate a little bit. And what the prolong is the prolong is the base of this with the pigment. Okay, so I burped it. See, did you see that squirt out? That's exactly what happens if you don't burp. And I'd put it here. So you don't want them to be too close together because they spread. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I like to do as a trick is I use this little airtight container, and I put some of my prolong in here along with my alcohol. So this is going to dilute it. This is going to kind of help it to remain the same color as I'm working. Okay, I'm going to use a 5/8.
Christina said the crew is here. I don't know what that means, but it sounds
that's my painting group.
Right.
Okay.
The For the Love of Paint crew. Great.
How is this? Is this okay? Can you guys see about here? Is that good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So while loading, you want to pick up the red and the green, and you want to work it back and forth. Now with a regular one stroke, this is already done for you. This you have to do yourself.
Can't really see that. Your hand's kind of.
How about that?
Okay, no, I just, your hand was blocking it. That's why I couldn't see it.
How about this?
Yeah, it's fine. Okay.
Okay, cool. So you want to go back and forth though. You want to make sure that your brush is 2/3 full on each side. Okay. So it's not just loaded on one side. I've seen Sally Ann Lynch on here before. Same loading technique, different product. That's all it is. And I like to get pretty close. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So now I am going to do a 5-petal cabbage rose, and I'm going to make sure that I have a little tip on there. So again, this is just like what you're used to using. Now with the alcohol, if you're in high heat and if it's a little windy, you're going to have to reload every single time. Right now in California, it's not super hot, so I'm actually okay. And I can probably do another one without even having to reload. Okay, but do you see the one stroke, how I'm getting both of those colors in there? I'll go back to loading here. You also have to work fairly fast. So if I didn't like that one, I could kind of go over the top of it, just like that. It also has a high shine to it. If there's a shine, that means it's still wet. Okay, so as that's going on with regular face paint, you have the same problem, right? You have to wait until it dries just a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to adding a bud right here while I'm waiting for this to dry. So if you're working on a little kid's arm, it's totally fine to kind of jump around and let that
and so what are the advantages of ProAiir for you? I mean, what is the advantage to this versus a regular split cake?
Well, it will stay on all day till the next day, and even the following day if the kids are careful. And you can wear it in the water, you can wear it in the hot tub, you can wear it to the club, just depends on where you're painting. You know, here in California, we do a lot of festivals, and it gets to like 115 degrees. Well, as soon as that kid gets out of your chairs, their head is super sweaty. This would stay on, doesn't matter, it's sweat proof. Okay, so I'm going to go right up here and I'm going to make that center. Okay, and I'm just
how
reloading.
Are the colors different?
The colors are fairly the same. You just don't have as many.
Okay.
That's the difference, is that in our regular face paint kit, I mean, sky's the limit, right? We've got every single shade of every single color.
Yeah.
We have the dazzle dips that have the sparkles in there. That's the shimmer. So if you add that to any one of these matte colors, you can add it shimmery. There are only a few of those that are colored. Okay, so here we go. So I'm adding that center. So this is the same thing that you're going to do with regular face paint, the same technique. You just have to be responsible for mixing your own colors. You have to squeeze it out. Also, as it starts to get a little mucky, you know, you add a little more. If it starts to dry out on you, you take your alcohol and you can spritz it over the top of it, and it will keep your paint moist. If it's windy, you're kind of tricky, because the wind is your enemy sometimes, especially out at 100-degree heat. You know, you're constantly having to work this. Okay, so.
Also, Wendy says that the alcohol base is somewhat safer for us and clients right now, and she loves and Christina says she loves the blue dazzle.
The blue dazzle is beautiful. I'm going to do a blue Christmas rose, or I'm sorry, a winter rose. So the technique is exactly the same as that you would learn from any other face painter using any other one stroke. Instead of using a black where everybody uses a black, this is a green. So this is not the typical color that you would do with the red rose. Can you guys see that okay? Okay, as it starts to dry, you can come in here and you can add another lip just like that. And in here, you can add the heel of your brush. Now, if you've ever used acrylic paint, this is the exact same techniques that you would use for that. Okay.
Christina asked a question, what kind of alcohol do you use, and does the percentage matter?
It totally does. This one is a 91. And what I have in my jar is a 99.5. If you get something from the dollar store, the highest that you're going to be able to get is like a 50. That is not going to activate your product. That's not going to give you, it just won't work. So it does matter. Okay. You can also layer. So that's kind of the biggest thing. I think that the colors are so beautiful. They're so rich. They're true to what you see coming out of the bottle. Okay, so I'm going to go there. Also, I'm going to leave the paint on the brush. I'm going to move this up so you guys can see me really fast. I'm going to put this over here, and I'm just going to let that sit. It does not even matter because I can re-wake it up later on. And Donna Nowak never cleans her brushes. She just leaves that paint on there. Okay. And then she doesn't ever, but for me, I like to use the same brushes over and over. Some of my favorites here. Okay, this is a Donna Gibray brush. This is a flat number 12. And I'm going to pick up that green, but I'm also going to add a little tiny bit of yellow. Sky is the limit with these guys. So I'm going to add the alcohol. I'm going to use my terry cloth, and I'm just going to dry off the excess just as you would a regular one stroke. And I'm going to blend back and forth. Can you guys see that? Okay. So I'm going to add my leaf here and here. Add another one. That one I did a little bit darker, but I can lighten it up slightly. And then the one thing I love about this, though, is that there's no waste. Every time that you are done and your paint dries, you just add a little Prolong, or you add a little bit of the alcohol, and it wakes it right back up. And you can reuse it, or you can add the solid. I know we're not doing a lesson on solids here, but the solids, if you put the dips inside the solids, it also goes right in there. It dries, and then you just wake it back up. And it's actually a container instead of having a mat. Okay, so that was really fast. You can do some quick drop leaves. The paint, I feel like it goes a long way. I haven't really had to reload that. And you can mix colors as you go. So if you're good with color theory, Christina is really good. She's an oil painter. So she always helps us with color theory. I mean, yes, we're very limited to the colors that we have with the dips, but if you know how to blend your colors, you can almost make any color that you want. And you can make any, go ahead.
Sorry, what Christina asked, what glitter do you recommend that stays on?
So that's a very good question, Chrissy. Let me show you. If you have a American Body Art water-based glitter, this will not take off the paint because this is an alcohol base, right? So the water will not, obviously this is waterproof, right? Or water resistant. So it's not going to remove the work that you just did. If you use one of my glitter sticks, on the other hand, this is a balm base. This also has oils in it. The way you remove this is by using something with the scent and with oils. So I would want to use a water-based glitter over top. If I wanted to use something like a glitter stick, I wouldn't put it on top of here. I would just put it around and embellish. Did that answer your question, Chrissy?
The other question came, Elizabeth asked, do the colors mix and blend well?
100%. So here's one of my old dirty ones that I was just using. I did my legs up before you guys as I was practicing. So one thing that I absolutely love is the messier, the better, because then you can start mixing, matching, and getting these really great tones in between. And again, you're not wasting any product because you just reactivate it by using your alcohol or by using your Prolong. So if I added Prolong to this, and I have a clean brush, and again, this was from earlier. Do you see how that wakes it right up?
Yeah.
And now it's just kind of like cleaning it off, right? Like you just have to pick up that paint. Now, again, in my experience, it is not going to be as vibrant as this because I feel like it's muted out slightly, but it still works, especially if you're doing a drop shadow, especially if you're doing something that's very soft and subtle and you do want to do a little bit of, maybe this isn't dark enough in here. I have black on here that's dry. All I need to do is rub it a little bit and it just picks that pigment right up. You can dry it off and then you can do a dry brush technique and you can blend that right in there to show that center pop.
Kip says once the color dries, once the color dries, can you paint another color over the top without it smudging?
Yeah, totally. I just did.
Okay.
So I can do another one right here with Kip. Kip is my buddy. Okay, all these guys are my buddies. So I'm going to add a little blue here, and I'll add some white. And I'm going to go with a 5/8 flat. I always like to dip it in the alcohol, drying off the excess. Picking up a little white and blue. Sorry if you can't see that very well. How's that? Is that okay? Okay. Okay, Kip, this is for you. So I'm going to start like this guy. And as fast as it gets on your arm, it's alcohol. So it starts to dry almost immediately. And you can tell from the shine. Again, this is the exact same technique that you're going to use if you're doing a one stroke that's already pre-made for you. Okay, so this is dry, this is not. And you can see, I don't know if you can see in the light, but there's still a shine to that. Okay.
And this is are you using a Prima brush?
Yep, this is Prima Burton 5/8.
Okay.
This is her new series. Okay, and then I would go, look, Kip, I'm going right over the top of that. And that did not pick up the blue.
Here's a link to the ProAiir dips that we have on FacePaintcom.
Yes.
And I'll put the brush on there in a second.
Yes. And I love this brush. Okay, and I'm going to pull that down and pull that down. So Kip, that worked really good. Now, what I notice is my brush is drying out a little bit. Okay, so I have two options. I can take this, which has the Prolong, and I can dip it in there and I re-wake it up. And what that does is that just adds the base of what this is made out of is the Prolong with the pigment. Again, if I add the alcohol spritzed over top, it is going to thin it out slightly and make it a little more translucent. But see how that didn't smear anything? It yep, it worked just fine. So if I wanted to go right over the top of that green, it covered right over the top of that.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Can do the primer brush.
There you go.
Yep. So the things that I recommend when you are on the job site, right? And you got a line of kids and it's a hot day and this is drying on you left and right. And you're kind of like, oh my gosh, you know, I can't keep this activated. It's okay if it starts to dry out. Just make sure you have a spray bottle that has a nice wide spray. Because look, it wets that whole thing. And again, I can grab another brush and now my pink is activated. Okay, it takes a little bit of a second to get it going. If I were to put the Prolong on there, that now activates faster. So some people,
you can activate this days later, right?
Oh gosh, I have a stack over here of ones that I've had for 2 years and it's fine. I can pull it right back out. Yeah. So I especially if I'm, I can do a whole painting with old boards like this.
Angel says you're killing it as always, as usual.
Oh, thank you. You know, this is a really, I had to learn how to do what all of the other girls are doing with the water-based paint. My challenge to myself was like, well, I bet you I could make that with the dips. So if you challenge me to do a design that you can do with regular face paint, I can probably make it look exactly the same with the ProAiir.
Wow.
I've tested myself many times on doing that.
That is cool.
Yep. So see how, I mean, it works just as fast. It dries. It's really nice. It doesn't smear. You can put your hand underneath the water. The thinner the paint, the faster it's going to come off. I wanted to show you a little bit of sponge work. Okay, so I have just a regular dense sponge. I've got my old paint. This is my favorite. I pick up that old paint just like that. And now I just kind of sponge around and I can fill in my background. So you can make a rainbow cake. You can make it really soft pink. You can make it as dark as you want, but that old paint is perfect for sponging on and it's really soft.
Yeah, somebody, Christina said that she loves the dips because she paints 1 million people and it's usually face paint's too wet to sort of move on to the next step. And so
because it's alcohol, especially where we live. Christina lives near me and it's like, man, it gets so hot here. And I didn't realize how hot and how fast the paint just kind of melts off of the kids' faces as soon as they sweat. So that's really fast sponge work. So you can use a sponge on this. You can use stencils. If I was going to do a stencil though, I would use a finger dauber. Finger daubers work the best. Again, this is a 1 stroke. So I'm showing you what you can use as far as the background goes. And then line work, if you want to do any kind of line work. I bought some of these from FacePaintcom and I absolutely love them. I keep them in this little case here, but these are my favorite and they embellish really nicely over the top. Yep, American Body Art. You guys can get these. I would highly recommend these. These are fantastic. And they're super quick. And then again, they're water-based, so they're not going to ruin any of the paint that you just put on there. And you just add a little embellishment here or there. These are great. I don't know if you guys use those.
Christina asked, can you use pigment powders with it?
Sure can. All you do is take a pigment powder and you mix it with the Prolong, and you can make anything water resistant, like an eyeshadow. If you have an old eyeshadow that broke, do you sell pigment powder, Blake? Do you sell like a Maron or
yeah, we do. I think
okay.
we do.
Okay, so if you have a Maron powder, instead of using the liquid mixing liquid, which is a water base, you would use the Prolong, and then you turn that gold or whatever that powder is, you turn it into a water resistant makeup.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, so I added the little guys on there so that they can dry. Girls love these.
How easy is it to remove? Elizabeth is asking.
So depending on if you want to remove it fast or not, I'm gonna go up to my face now. Here we go. Yesterday I had my face painted. I did a practice run here and I painted it and it's off. Yesterday my arm was completely full with pretty much the same exact design and it's off. So the way that you want to remove, I wasn't sure if you tuned in the beginning, is you want to add a soap that has a scent in it. So a Bath and Body Works soap, a liquid soap, something that smells really good. That scent is going to help to remove it. The way that you remove it, what I do at kids' birthday parties is I have soap already and I give it to the mom and she puts it in the goodie bag and I say, hey, you know, I'm going to provide the soap for you. It's a part of my service, so that the parents don't have to, you know, say, uh-oh, this is not regular paint. They've been swimming in it and parts of it aren't coming out, you know. But again, if you are adding it really thick, like I did here in the rose, that's going to stay on longer. These little drop leaves, those are going to come off faster. So the thinner the layer, the easier it is to remove. My recommendation is you take the soap, you lather it on there, you let it sit for a little bit and run the water over it and the first layer comes off. It takes about 3 times. I have a video. I have about 9 YouTube videos out and one of them is how to remove dips safely and it's on my niece. So it's actually her mom showing you how to take it off of her face and she's 5 years old. So it's a good video. Next, I wanted to show you painting my face. Is that okay? You guys want to see me paint my face? Okay. So give me a second here. Are there any other questions that I can answer though while we're moving on?
How have parents responded to it?
Oh, they love it. So I have a lot of testimonies that say, my daughter cried because the butterfly came off, you know, because before using this, I have the same clients I've had for years. And the little girl wakes up and half her butterfly's off. If you're a parent who does not care if they sleep in their face paint, she's going to wake up and have her butterfly on. So that's always a plus is it doesn't remove as fast as regular water-based paint. Some people want it to remove fast and that's totally fine. But this was really more for summer wear, for swim parties, for raves, for kids that are going to be in bounce houses where it's sweating off. You know, this is something that you want to be a little bit more long lasting and durable.
Right.
I hope I answered your question. So
now,
again,
somebody asked about the YouTube page, the YouTube video that you were talking about earlier for removal.
Yep. So if you go on ProAiir.com and you look under tutorials, there should be the first 9 videos are mine. Okay. And one of it is just says removal. And it's really important though that, you know, you communicate with your clients and you ask. So what I ask normally is, you know, what kind of an event is this going to be? Because again, our big season, right, is in the summer. So if it's going to be an outdoor party and mom's going to have water balloons, or it's a little boy's birthday party and they're going to have squirt guns. Well, if you have regular water-based paint and that little boy just had his Ninja Turtle face painted and he gets hit in the face with the water gun, he's going to cry and come back to you. So then you can now upcharge because this paint is a little more expensive, but you upcharge and you say, oh, well, guess what? I carry, you know, I offer a service where you can have a water resistant paint where the kids can get sprayed in the face and it'll still stay on. So that's a good selling point.
Right.
Okay. So again, if you're just tuning in and you didn't hear my spiel earlier, you don't want to put dips on the eyes. You do not want to put it on the lips. So what I recommend are, I use the Elisa Griffith palette. Do you carry the Elisa Griffith palette or any kind of? Okay, so I use a Lisa Griffith palette, and especially if it's a little girl and she wants to have this elaborate butterfly, normally what we start with is the sponging. You can use the hybrid. Again, this is a one-stroke class, but you can use the hybrids over the eye. It's a lot thinner, and you can sponge that on. It's alcohol, and if you're telling a 5-year-old, do not open your eyes, what are they going to do? They're going to open their eyes. In my experience. So the Elisa Griffith palette, you use a smoothie blender, you put whatever color you want on the eyes, and you start that butterfly right here, right above. So if she opens her eyes, who cares? You know what I mean? You're not getting it in her eye. For the lips, they always want their lips painted with the glitter. Maybe not the boys, but I use these disposable lip palettes. I use a smudge proof lipstick, or you can use just a regular lipstick that you're not cross-contaminating. You use the thing and you put it on the kids, or a Q-tip, and then you dispose of it, just like you would do with regular water-based paint. I know for a fact everybody puts lipstick on kids when they face, it's like, if I do lipstick on one, I better be prepared to do it on all of them, because that little girl wants to look like the birthday girl. Another thing is if you use bling. I'm not sure if you guys are big blingers, but like if you're going to use bling, you can add the bling even over the top of your ProAiir. Okay, so it does stick pretty well. So that's always a question. It's like, well, do you put the bling on first and then you do the painting? Well, if you've already done the painting and then you want to add the bling, because I feel like it's a drier paint. Sometimes our regular face paint is a little bit more creamy, and then it sticks to the medical tape. So in my experience, it stays on over the top of the ProAiir. So in case that's a question that came up. Okay.
Lucy asked, can I use ProAiir hybrid instead of dips? What is the difference?
The difference is, I'm going to grab it. The difference is the hybrids come in so many colors. They are also made for airbrushing, so they are thinner. This is like lemonade. This is like ketchup. Okay. So the thinner it is, the more it's going to spread, the more you're going to have to make layers. Like if you wanted to do a one stroke with this, it's not happening. You need to have a thick paint to do a one stroke. But this is great, like I said, for sponge work. So if you take this and you put it on your sponge, or you dip it down and you want to do some base work with it, totally fine. But what I found is I just use my old dips and I use this. But the hybrids, what I found is mix. I don't have all my hybrids in front of me and all my solids, but I hope this is okay, Blake, because you sell all of these, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a class on this too. If you take your hybrid and you mix it with the corresponding solid, this now becomes you can keep it closed and it activates, and you can use it to get the consistency that you want. So this is really thin, and this is really hard to activate. So when you marry them together, it becomes the perfect paint, in my experience, which you can go back and look at my portfolio. I painted for a year straight, and I call it mixed media, because I use all of these. I airbrush, I use hybrid, and I use solids, and my favorite is the dips. Hope that answered your question.
Okay.
You can also use the hybrids to mix with the dips to make the color of your choice. So if you need a red orange and you want to mix these together, you would just use something like, that's going to be airtight, or a little palette, and you can mix these together. Again, it's going to be a little more runny, and it's going to be a little more watery, because these have to run through your airbrush. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about.
And I posted a link to your tutorials on ProAiir Dips website.
Okay. Since I showed you guys already how to load in my first part here, I'm not going to show you how to load. I'm just going to paint here on my face. I hope that's okay. If you still have any questions about it, I can probably lift up the palette if you want. But again, burp your dips, because if it's a hot day and you're not paying attention and you're hurrying up and trying to get set up, that first kid that sits there, or even a parent, if you're going to paint the mom, you open this will explode on you. And it's because of the pressure. I don't know, in hot temperature, you just don't want it to happen. So make sure you shake it and you burp it. Okay.
Okay.
These are fun facts and tips that you're going to thank me later. Okay. Burp, open. And I'm using pink and yellow, and I'm
Can
doing
you
a little
pour
bit of
some hybrid dips to create new colors?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, you can mix this yellow and this orange together. Any ProAiir product is the same base. It is the same, and it will marry. You can activate it with all of these. Okay. And they all activate with 91 or 99% alcohol. But that's it. You can't use a lesser alcohol because it will not activate. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah. Can't go to the Dollar Tree and say, oh, I found 50, and then wonder why it didn't work.
A question that was asked a little higher above, which I missed. Do you charge more for ProAiir, or how much more do you charge, and how does your pricing change?
Yes, I do. Because it costs more. The bottles are a little smaller. Well, not smaller, but I feel like you're going to run out of your white. So if you're going to buy white and you're going to build a kit, I would always start with 2 whites. I don't know if you know that also with your normal face paint, right? We use white with everything with line work, and black. Right. But if you're going to do one stroke, what is the base to all of our one strokes? It's that lighter color over top. So you're going to use white. And I pre-make my one strokes. So I take the dips and I squeeze them out ahead of time, and I layer them up, and then I put the Prolong on there, and I already made my own one stroke without having to squeeze like this, because I plan ahead. But yes, I charge. In California, our rates are probably a little different, but I charge $150 an hour for a water resistant paint. See, look at it. I took too long because I was chatting and my brush started to dry. So remember what the 2 options are. You dip it in the Prolong to reactivate it, or you could add the alcohol, which will activate it, but again, it mutes out the color a little bit. This does not mute out the color. This just activates it again. So $150 an hour, and that, I feel like it covers my cost.
Okay. So,
Yep.
and if you were just doing normal face paint, what would the difference be?
$125 for the first hour versus the $150. So I usually charge about $25 more for that first hour. Regardless of it's just the paint costs more.
Right. It does.
Yep. Yeah. And the function is that it's going to stay on longer. It's not going to come off right away. Which a lot of times the moms do want it to come off, and that's fine. I do both. If somebody says, no, thank you, I do not want an alcohol-based party, then I'm not going to lose that gig. I'm just going to pull out my regular face painting kit. With COVID, I feel like it's been a selling point, though. I feel like by saying, hey, you know what, I'm not using any water. Every time I dip my brush into my 91% alcohol, it's sanitizing. You know how we're not supposed to use the same brush on kids right now. We're trying to, use different sponges, all of that. I feel like it's sanitizing each time. I know 70 is better to sanitize, my husband said, so I do still spritz that over. Mm-hmm. But back in the day, we would all use the same sponge on the kids, man. We were ruthless, right? That's how we were taught. I know I was taught to use the same sponge. I mean, I guess we're living in different times, so we're all just going to have to adapt. Again,
Wendy asked, do you think the designs take a little longer to accomplish with ProAiir?
It takes practice, just like anything else does. I see people still asking me, Andrea, how do I not get it muddy when I'm, trying to use my regular face paint because you have too much water on there? Well, if you dipped your brush in the alcohol and you didn't keep it on your terry cloth mat to absorb the water long enough, you're going to also get that runny, right? You're going to get that runny paint. And it's not just water paint, guys. It's alcohol on somebody's face.
Right.
Here's the part that I'm also going to tell you. I'm completely immune to this now. I've been painting with it for so long, but most people, it's a strong smell. If you have been body painted, or if you have been to a competition, or if you've been to, you know, any of these where models are being painted for, you know, 8 hours, they're all using airbrush, it's alcohol. So the smell, you need to have good ventilation. Okay. Right now my door is open because I have my alcohol open. It could irritate somebody's eye if their eye is open the whole time. So what I tell kids, you know what, just keep your eyes closed, honey. You know, keep your eyes closed for a second. I'm not in their eye, I'm near their eye, but still, if an alcohol fume is a little bit much for them, you know, then don't go by the eye. Move it down, move your design to the cheek. You know,
Okay.
you just use common sense. That's kind of how I feel.
Okay.
So using the chisel edge to just keep creating layers, and you just build on top of that. It's not burning my eye. I'm wearing regular makeup. So if you're doing this, I do a lot of adult parties. I do a lot of quinceañeras. I do a lot of weddings. Weddings are the best because who wants their, you know, $275 dress getting the makeup on it? If this rubs a little bit of the dress, it's not going to get, you know, it on there. And there's silver, and there's gold, and there's, you know, you can add all the fancy stuff to it, and it's going to stay on for the wedding party. There are weddings that ask for face paint. Can you believe that?
Of course. I can believe
Yeah.
it. It's fun.
Yeah. I know Sally Ann has done a few weddings, and she does the most beautiful work. I love Sally's work, and Deb's. I mean, those are my Deb's, Donna Dewberry. Those are my mentors. Those are people who I aspire to be like. And it just takes a lot of practice. So that was a little yellow, little pink, and I just started to blend, and that was with my Prima Barton. This one has a flat 5/8. You can use the angle or the flat, again, leaving the makeup on. So here's the trick I was going to show you. Now this one we used earlier. Do you see how firm it is now? See how that's like not coming off? Okay, it's dried on there. I have heard this. Don't use your good brushes with ProAiir. Use your garbage brushes. How are you going to make nice work with a yucky brush? That's what I want to know. I would never use a yucky brush to do work. I don't know who advised that and where that came from, but no, that's not, I would say 100% do not do that. Use your brushes that you're comfortable with. Use your brushes that you're going to do your best work with. I'm going to now just take this, and I'm going to dip it inside of my Prolong. I'm going to do it on the bottom of my hand, and look, boom,
Nice.
woke it right back up. Okay. Super easy. So if it dries on you at an event, don't freak out. It's totally fine. You know, you just got to wake it right back up, and then you can go on to doing your leaves. Okay. Any other questions about, you know, I know I have mentored a few people on having
Oh, can you
confidence.
still use stencils?
Oh, yes. If you want to see me do stencil work, I can totally do that. I know that this lesson was supposed to be just one stroke, but I highly recommend using finger daubers. Finger daubers are the best, and being able to hold the stencil really close, the stencil transfer is fantastic. It hardens on the stencils. So all you do after is you can spritz some alcohol and clean them off, or you can just soak them with the same thing that you're going to wash your brushes with. And I wash my brushes with a makeup cleaner, just like this, and I circle it around. And before we started, all of these brushes were completely filled with paint. And look, they have not lost their shape. You know, Prima's she's my Filipino sister, and I'm very blessed to have her brushes, and I would die if I messed up my good Prima brushes, but I use them with ProAiir. And I've heard people kind of scoff at that. And I said, well, this is the brush that I want to use because I feel like I can do the best work with this brush. Regardless if it's my water paint or if it's my my ProAiir. Okay, so now we talked a little bit again about using different glitters. I'm going to use this Wandy glitter here. This is a glitter stick. This is an oil-based coconut oil, beeswax, almond oil, avocado oil, and it has scent and fragrance in it. And what's the magic thing to take this off? Fragrance. Scented soap. So if you're worried about it not coming off, put a little bit of this on there, and it will definitely come off when the design is ready to come off.
Dominique
Okay.
says that the clients say it smells good, so she loves it.
Yeah, sour apple. It smells like sour apple. I've had the same thing. Kids will be like, "Ooh, that smells different." Now, maybe not the alcohol after you've cleaned your brush. That is a little bit stronger smell, but and I know for like Mardi Gras, and I know for things where actors or performers need to wear a long lasting makeup. You know, I know that you can wear regular water-based face paint, and then you can put a setting spray over it. This kind of eliminates the setting spray.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so I've added this beautiful liquid bling, and that's my side eye design. And pretty quick, right? I mean, that didn't take me any longer than I'm chatting the whole time, but I don't think it took me any longer than it would have if I just did a regular one stroke. And for girls, you know, if they already have a pretty makeup on, like a teenager, or, you know, the sister of the birthday party, you know, you just work off of the corner of their makeup. You can add your bling. If you wanted to add a little side eye bling or something like that, you can add that right on top of it, and it will not take away. You want to see? Do you sell
Always.
bling? Do you sell bling, Blake? Do you guys have a bling?
Yeah, we sell bling.
Okay. Yeah. So you, if you sell bling, you know, sell that up. Use bling on your designs. I don't want to cover it too much, but I mean, it goes right over the top of it without losing the sticky. You know, and that's one thing that I really did like, because I felt like sometimes my other water-based paint, the kids would come back right away and be like, look, it came off. So it's not coming off. It's staying on. It's pretty solid. Okay. I don't know what our time is, but
We have got 13 minutes left.
13 minutes left. So is there something that you guys would like me to paint? Because I kind of covered my roses. Let me move this back slightly here. I did a bunch of roses on my legs. Don't mind really fast. You can use really big brushes. And I'm talking about Prima Barton, these really huge brushes.
Right.
This is a 1-inch flat. Absolutely love this for a big shoulder design, for a sunflower. You can make a rainbow. You know, you just got to squeeze out your paints ahead of time, making a 1-stroke with these, but it's possible to make a rainbow cake with these dips, and that would fit. So then when you swipe this, then you have a perfect rainbow. So
that's great.
Let me know if there's anything you guys want to see me paint, or if there's any questions that I can ask. I mean,
Somebody wants you to do a stencil.
A stencil. Okay, give me 1 second just to grab one.
And while we're talking about this, we're going to have Andrea back sort of in the spring. So what do you guys want what do you guys want her to do next? What class do you want to have?
So I can do dips. I can do.
Where can they buy your crowns?
From you.
There we go.
Crowns. Yay. FacePaintcom has a bunch of my crowns. And I find that I don't really, you know, I'm known as the lady who brings the jewels when I work for other agencies, and the one who wears the crowns. When I walk in, they know I'm there because I have a big crown on and a smile, right? Okay, so I'm finding a stencil here. Find kind of a little one so you guys can see. How about
what product do you use to clean your brushes?
So you want to use a makeup remover. Oh, that's another thing that I can share here. I'm just going to grab this one because it has stars. Okay, this is a great one. I use, my girlfriend Gina is a soaper, so she helped me after Fabic because I cried. I could not get the paint off. I didn't read the instructions on how to get the paint off.
Eastern design, spring animals. Okay.
So this is just a makeup remover, but you can also use makeup wipes as long as they say remove waterproof mascara. the makeup wipes will work. And I'm going to put a nice plug in for Costco, because if you use Costco, I found that these work awesome at Costco. And say you made a little mistake, you know, you can always use some alcohol on a Q-tip or the makeup remover, and you can go back in and you can clean up that mistake, or you can use your finger and a makeup wipe, but it has to say removes waterproof mascara, because it's the same makeup that's in there. And so for my brushes, I use a makeup brush remover with water, and I just circle around and clean it. Now, if you don't have that, use one of the you know, the little pads. Use something that's meant to remove makeup, like a woman's makeup. Okay, because dish soap sometimes leaves residue. And just speaking from experience, I'm gonna grab my finger dauber. In my kit, I have this really cute little finger dauber holder. I'm sure that's not what it was made for, but good old TJ Maxx. And one awesome thing is that because this is alcohol makeup, that I just leave those colors on there. And guess what? I can reactivate the color just by using the Prolong or by using the alcohol. So I kind of have a color for every single one. And because it's alcohol, it's sanitizing. Okay, what color? Do you guys care what color I use? I'm going to just do some stars. Is there a color
someone said oil-based cleansers are great.
Yep, oil-based, totally. Anything that has scent, okay, that is coming straight from Donna Noah, which this is her product. In order for me to teach at conventions, I need to know exactly what I'm doing. I know this is a one stroke, but I'm going to use my solid. Okay, I'm going to use my solid, and this is what I normally use when I do stencil work. I take either a drop of my Prolong, and you can get stencil, or you can get solids from FacePaintcom as well, right, Blake?
Yep.
So if they want a solid, now you take your dips and you put it right in there, because that is going to give it, with the mixture of the Prolong and the dips together, that's going to give you the best consistency. Okay, I'm really good friends with Geo. You guys all know who Geo is. Geo got the solids. She lives in Texas. She was like, it takes me forever to activate these, Drea. I can't get these things to activate. And so I came up with my secret recipe of adding the hybrid black or the dips black and the Prolong. So you're using the makeup. So I kind of got that here. I'm going to test it on myself to see. I learned how to stencil from Leah Selly. She is like stencil queen, man. I learned the correct, you want it to be like 3 spritz of water, right? When you're doing water-based paint, water-based makeup. All right, so I tested that on here. Okay, oops, sorry about that. And I'm gonna just place that right on my face. I hope you guys can see.
Oops,
and
something went wrong. Your phone went off.
Oh, can you see me now?
Yeah, it worked.
Okay. So again, I got this to the right consistency. Geez, how about that? They think I'm 13 minutes. Hello?
Hi.
Geez. Okay, I'll go up here. So
something's really going wrong.
I don't, how about now?
It seems to be back. Somehow it keeps going back to my black screen.
Okay. Well, I'm doing some stars, so when they come back on, my stars will be on there.
Okay.
So just finger dauber, and I did some stars, and it is a very good transfer. I think it transfers just fine. Let's see. So I'll do one more right here just so you can kind of see. So stenciling, always I use a finger dauber. And again, they come in, you can leave the makeup on there. I don't even clean them. Trying to clean these is kind of tricky, you know, trying to really get them super clean. Again, you just take your alcohol and you can spritz over the top of them, and any bacteria or any yuckiness that was on there is already cleaned off. So that's my stenciling.
Awesome.
2 seconds. Yep. And then again, keeping that black in here, then you have a nice place that you're not wasting your makeup, right? So you've got your black. Always, if you're ever wondering what solids to get, I would always say get a black and a white to start with, so you can do that for line work. The black line work is amazing. So I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
This has been great. And thank you everybody for joining us. Now we got a couple other webinars coming up as usual on Monday. So we have Prima Barton doing Pro Techniques on January 4th. We have Vanessa Mendoza of Sugar Skull fame doing a Dreamcatcher Sugar Skull, which she was doing last time. And I guess given, actually, you know, we've never done, I think I know what the class should be. It should be hearts. I've never done a hearts class.
Oh.
So let's do a hearts class. Hearts designs on April 12th. How about that?
Okay. Is that for me?
That's for you.
Okay, then I better get going with some heart designs, huh?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a good evening and have a merry, happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks, Andrea. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye.